honestly, that it exceeded my expectations when I came here. Like Shane and the sales team was just so like, no big deal. You got to put your kid down for a nap. Like, yeah, I'll grab a coffee, or, can you get this done when you have a second? Like, they were just so willing and open to working around me and like my life.
Well, hey, everybody. I am here with Dana and Daphne, and we decided to talk a little bit today about Cold Bore and what it's actually like to work here, because a lot of us work remotely, and this is something that happened after COVID and kind of changed the way that we live and we work. So I'm just thinking, Dana, tell me a little bit about joining the team and what that was like.
I'm the sales coordinator, so I support our sales team, which is predominantly U.S. based. Most of my guys are kind of scattered throughout the southern U.S. I came to Cold Bore about almost 2 years ago now. Wow, it's been a while. I can't believe it's been that long. It doesn't feel like it's been that long.
Not at all.
Yeah, so I was on maternity leave. I just had my son, and it was kind of the after effects of COVID, and I knew that I didn't really want to return to my previous employer, so I was just keeping an eye out, and I came across my job, and I was like, that's the job I want. It was mostly remote based, which was a big deal to me. And then I was like, Cold Bore, I know someone who works for Cold Bore. And sure enough, I previously worked with one of our controllers.
We can say Michelle.
Michelle. I worked with Michelle. And I was like, hey, here's the situation. I still have a kid and it's remote, but at the same time, I can't get him into daycare yet because there's long wait lists and he wasn't a year old yet. She's like, no big deal. Like, yeah. We'll figure it out. And sure enough, when I interviewed with Shane, he reiterated that message. He was like, yeah, we'll just, it's a little bit flexible. We'll work around it. No big deal. And honestly, it exceeded my expectations when I came here. Like Shane and the sales team was just so like, no big deal. You got to put your kid down for a nap. Like, yeah, I'll grab a coffee, or, can you get this done when you have a second? Like, they were just so willing and open to working around me and like my life. And it was just, it was awesome. Yeah. Such a good experience.
Yeah. Daphne, you've been here for a little while, but so you were here pre and post COVID.
Yes.
So you probably experienced maybe one of the biggest kind of shifts.
Yeah.
So what's your experience been like working here at Cold Bore?
Yeah. Well, when I started with Cold Bore, it was right in the beginning when there was about 5 or 6 of us. Some of us, I think there was 4 or 5 of us in the Calgary office. And then there were some people in Leduc. But when I first started, everybody was, we were at a much smaller building. Everybody just came in every day and worked, the 9 to 5 days. I had, I came to Cold Bore right after my youngest daughter turned 1. So I had probably when you started right around the same time. Yep. We weren't working downtown yet then. So it was a little bit easier than I was used to. Pre-Cold Bore, I was at ConocoPhillips. That was the downtown lifestyle, taking the train in every day. I had a young baby while I worked there. And it was, getting up at 5 a.m. to make sure everybody's ready to go, baby's at daycare, taking the trains home. If there was a delay, it was just a panic because you wouldn't be at daycare on time to pick them up. And when they were sick, you'd have to take a sick day. It was quite hectic and stressful. And then, so when I started with Cold Bore, we were in every day, but they were a lot more flexible. They were a lot more flexible with when you showed up and staying home when you needed to. And now, so that was pre-COVID, and now post-COVID, it's so much better. Like the whole hybrid lifestyle nowadays, where I can work from home whatever days I choose and come in whatever day I choose. There's benefits to both. Being at home, I can be at home for the kids. It actually gives me 2 more hours a day to give to Cold Bore. I'm not getting ready for that amount of time. I'm not fighting traffic. I just sit at my desk and eat lunch, and then I'm not fighting traffic on the way home. I'm not having to leave at a certain time to be home for my kids' school bus and wait for them to leave. I can just get up and start work right when I'm ready to get up. So there is a lot of benefits for the company because they get a lot more hours and work out of me. But then also I love coming in and seeing everybody's faces. You get that whole dynamic when you're actually in the office working with people. I find you get a lot more collaboration, a lot more work. And I don't know if it's a lot more work done, but you talk to different people in different departments and then you kind of realize, oh yes, we actually needed this for me, I'm in marketing, so we
The
needed this document.
cohesiveness.
Yeah. Oh, Daphne, would you mind creating this for me? Or we're looking at getting some new hard hat stickers. Would you mind? And I can just sit down with them right then and there and design them up, and then we're ready to go. So I love the hybrid version because it's so easy with kids to be flexible with them, and then also be able to be here for work when people need you to come in for meetings, and like it's the best of both worlds. I know it's one thing that keeps me at this
As a working
company.
mom, it just makes it so much easier to feel like you're still building your career while also being able to take care of your kids.
Yes.
To me, it seems like I think men, we have had it easy because a lot of us have been able to rely on our spouses, partners, wives to take care of the kids and pick up all the slack when it comes to the family, right? And then also working a full-time job.
Yeah.
So it actually seems probably as a woman with kids just working in the oil and gas industry, the reality is that you have at least 2 jobs.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I think, man, we actually kind of have it kind of maybe a little bit too easy.
Well, even like for us, like my husband, like I mentioned before, he runs his own business. So like for him to take a day off, we're not getting paid. Like we if he's not, at a job site, we're not getting paid. So the responsibility is always going to fall to me. And even if I wasn't paid for my sick days when I have to take them, it would still make more sense for me to take an unpaid day because his income is just that much more than what I make because he is a business owner and he runs a business and he invoices, right? So it would fall to me anyways.
Daphne, your experience is also a little bit different because your husband has been working remotely. So So he actually started working remotely before COVID, right?
Yeah.
So what is it like then when you're both working at home? Did you have to kind of figure out how to make that work?
We did when we first started, when COVID happened. So we had a double office on our main floor where we both had a desk. But because I was going into the office, I only used it when I needed it, and that was his main workspace. But when COVID happened and we were both home full time, we learned real fast that I'm in a million meetings a day, and with him talking in the background, it just wasn't working. So we stole one of our daughter's bedrooms and made that into his office. They were sharing a bed at the time anyway, so they were fine with it. And now I have the main office on the main floor. So I know right off the bat, you can't work in the same office. It's impossible. But actually now when we're both home, it's great because we can have little powwows. We have lunch together when we need something. I can get him to run out or I can run out midday. The flexibility is just everything for our family right now. I mean, he doesn't know his own business, so it's a different lifestyle, but it's great having him being able to be at home when the kids are leaving and then I can go pick them up or yeah, it's just, I don't know how we would have done it. I look back at our old life where we were both working out of the house every day. And I don't know how we would have managed with how much stuff we have going on right now. I had to rush home yesterday. I had to leave early because my daughter had a birthday party across the city at 5:00. And I'm like, how do parents do this?
Right?
I had to because we live out of town. So I had to run out of town to get my daughter go get a birthday present, rush her to the birthday party and have her there by 5:30. And most people are just getting home at 5:30.
Yeah. So your kid's name is Case, right?
Kaysen.
Kaysen.
Yeah.
So what has been Kaysen's experience with you working remotely? Like what's it like, what's the child experience of being able to have mom at home, but is also working?
So luckily, Kaysen is in daycare 4 days a week. So he's home with me on Wednesdays. And I've been able to manage my schedule so that I'm in a lot less meetings on Wednesdays. Of course, how often do we get pulled into them?
Yeah.
But it is what it is, right? We just work around it. I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, he probably gets a little bit more screen time than most kids should on those days that he's home with me. Yeah. But, it's nice because, even last week, I snapped a photo. I was working, and he sat up at our kitchen table with me, and he had his iPad and a snack, and then he colored for a while. He just kind of likes hanging out, to be honest. Some days are harder than others, but we usually try and log off for a little bit and go outside and play when it's nice, or I try and make time for him. If there's a moment in the day where he comes to me and he's like, Mommy, can we read a book? I will stop what I'm doing and I'll read a book with him.
Yeah.
Daphne, with your girls though, so what's their experience like with actually having both mom and dad actually working at home for a good portion of the week?
I think it's all they remember, so I can't really say it's any different for them. But one thing that I love about it is if they have those dentist appointments or doctor's appointments, it doesn't mean that we have to take a whole day off work anymore. I can go pick them up at their school, take them, drop them back off at their school. It doesn't really interrupt a lot of our large part of our day. And then when they are sick, they are all able to stay at home with us both. So they're gone 8:30 till 4. So like during the day, I don't think it affects them very much. But just the times where they do need to stay home, it's nice for them. Like it doesn't interrupt our whole lives. There's no guilt on them of, oh, I have to make mom stay home from work or dad, or, or if they're feeling sick in the middle of the day, they know that they can call us and we're right down the street. So it's just, it's made the whole family unit a lot happier and healthier.
Well, do you think that cold bores, so the culture that's here and providing flexibility for people to be able to work remotely when they need to, do you think this is also maybe presents cold bore as an opportunity for maybe more women to get into oil and gas?
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. This hybrid lifestyle for any industry, to be honest, is a big deal for the working moms.
Yeah.
Like, it's a big deal.
Yeah. I don't like to say men don't carry a lot more load than they used to, because they definitely do. I know at least in our household, we do a lot of the same tasks, blue or pink or whatever. But I find that I don't know, like when I had kids, and if I was going back to that time now, I maybe would have had more. At the time when I was working downtown, ConocoPhillips, we stopped having after 2 because of the fact that daycare costs so much. Commuting, just all the small things. It was just too hard to manage going into downtown every day and I probably would have had another 1 or 2 if it was that time in my life still. Yeah. I mean, we're way past the baby stage, so I'm not going back there. But I mean, it allows people to have the families that they want without having to pay thousands of dollars in childcare. Yep. And that's what, like we were doing before and after school care, and that's almost the same amount as full-time childcare. Just to have them there a couple hours in the morning so that I could be at work at the time that they said I had to be at, and vice versa. So just that alone, saving families that amount of money and having them be able to be home for when the kids get off their bus.
Or figure out a babysitter. Exactly. Or, try and pair up with a parent. Yeah, it's a big deal.
And just parenting alone is stressful on a couple. Like having the flexibility has really helped us a lot. Still, we can go out. I can go out with my girlfriends or Dana, at lunchtime and, spend some of that time that I need and not worry about, oh no, I got to be home to pick up the kids. There's 2 of us that are flexible now. And I think it's going to help families out, women or men or single parents or anybody. Nowadays, with all the electronics that we have and the computer systems, there's really not a reason that people can't be doing the same job from home, unless you're a hands-on person, right? You can't.
Yeah, my husband can't build houses right. when you're sitting at home, right?
Yeah.
So
more and more companies are able to now. That's what I mean. Yes.
Well, how about just thinking about stress in general and mental health? Has this flexibility of being able to work remotely? Have you noticed any differences being here at Cold Bore versus maybe previous employers?
Hell yeah. The answer to that is hell yeah. Honestly, I'm just thinking back to my previous employer. The expectation was that you were in the office 5 days a week, and on my team there was 7 women and only one of them had kids, and she was also a single mom, so she had her kids week on, week off, she had to manage all of the parenting, and she always felt guilty when she had to come into the office, if she was, 5 or 10 minutes late because she just couldn't get her kids out the door or whatever. And, the perception of what that was. And some of the managers there, kind of looked down on her because of it. And it was she's doing the best that she can. And we just don't have that. I've never felt bad for having Kaysen sick at home with me or having to take a day off. No one here has ever made me feel bad about that, and that alone helps the mental health. And honestly, I can get so much done. We get an hour for lunch every day, and when I take it, it's usually to do something to run my household. If I'm not just working straight through it, it's I do laundry, I clean up my kitchen, I do a grocery run. It just makes my life, that work-life balance is a big deal.
Yeah. And actually, that's a good point, what you had said. It's not even just the hybrid lifestyle of coming into work versus not. Cold Bore is very non-micromanaging as a company. Like you said, we have our first meeting of the day as a group is at 8:30. If you are coming in, they would like you to be in for it, but most days this week I haven't made it in for 8:30. We've been here at 8:35 or, a little bit later than that. But nobody ever is sitting there shaking their finger at you, which is a very different lifestyle from 10 years ago in corporate. We can leave at 3:30 if we have to be home to take our kids to something. Nobody's looking at you and on a time card and saying, what time did you get here today? What time did you leave? I've never had anybody comment. And I think it's a trust.
Yep.
I think what Blair said, Blair CFO said to me recently is we're not just creating a company here and a product, we're growing people. And he does genuinely care about the people of the company and their well-being. And I think that's the thing is when you get people that are sitting there tracking your time and, oh, did you work your 8 hours this day and this day, that's when you start to, when you pick people apart, that's when you lose that humanity feeling.
And I will say that, like, of course, we've had people filter through Cold Board that, take advantage of that type of situation. But our managers pick on it pretty quick. And if you're not pulling your weight, they'll give you a little bit of a correction.
Yeah.
But you only get like a chance or two. And then it's like, you're not the right fit. Like, we're doers here. You come in, you create some awesome stuff, and you leave. But we just don't keep people who don't pull the same weight and have the same team cohesiveness.
Do you think that the company is better and gets the advantage that if you're better, the company's better, which means that maybe the customers are better at the end of the day?
Yeah, 100%. I would agree with that statement.
Yeah. I think it's really easy to tell we're pretty soon if somebody's not carrying their weight too. I think most of us, we know we were seeing emails from each other at 8:00 p.m. And, whenever we can get it or there's something specific going on, you can tell the people that are hard workers and right off the bat. And the other people who just want to cut out a certain time, you never talk to them in the evening and stuff. So
it seems like that the people who are successful here tend to have a high sense of personal accountability.
Yeah, you have to. 100%. You have to have a high sense of personal accountability. You have to be proving your worth to stay here. And by that, I mean, like, you're with your work ethic. And so, like, we've all sent emails at 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, but at the same time, there's give and take to that. So it's not that we're, expected to work till 10 p.m. That's not the case at all. You're expected to keep up with your workload. And if life gets in the way and you need a doctor's appointment or a dentist appointment at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, that's fine. No one's going to question you for that as long as your work is up to date. It's within your own, you have to manage your workload.
Daphne, you were telling me, so on the marketing team, you usually do a presentation, I think, once a month,
Yes.
kind of a company-wide presentation.
Yes.
Something happens, is it every 2 weeks that there's kind of a big presentation?
Yeah, we do our big company-wide meetings every 2 weeks, our town halls. And we kind of split up the departments. So I think there's 3 and 3. So as a department, you only get to present once a month. And for marketing, we kind of run through our analytics, like how are our socials performing, what's upcoming, any upcoming events, internal or external, that people can be watching for, any communications, branding items, or just product-specific marketing that we need to talk about with the entire company. So it's kind of our way to update the entire company on what's happening in marketing and communications.
Yeah. So Dana, how about your team? When your team is doing an update, what are some of the things or metrics that you guys present on?
I mean, obviously the visibility on how many pads we're running, that day. But then sales has been tasked with, kind of what we call a client engagement update, like, a touch point that we've had with the customer. So that's become a really big deal. So it could be good, bad, or indifferent. But like at some point we want to know, want some sort of feedback from the customer. And then we bring that attention to the organization to say, this customer is really happy with this, or this customer is not really this happy with this. So how do we fix that?
Let's say Derek at product, he wants to hear about what's actually going on. So sales, you guys will be connecting people and transferring that information so that product team understands if there's issues with technology or requests maybe on stuff they want to see.
Yep. And then some of our product team and some of our customers have standing meetings, like our long running customers have a standing meeting. So there's one customer we meet with every couple of weeks, and it's a group effort. So Lee is the account manager. He runs it and just kind of quarterbacks the meeting itself. But, some of the customer team as well as our team comes together and, you know, we just hash things out. Like, what do you want to see? Here's the feedback on this. Jason Ladner has been running some Power BI that has blown their mind with some of the analytics and the reporting that Jason's been able to do, and they're just building off of it. So I think at some point we want to get to that type of relationship with all of our customers, depending on the level of engagement that they want, right? Everyone wants SmartPad for something different.
Yeah.
Each customer wants SmartPad for something different.
Hey, Daphne, what gets you jazzed about being here at Cold Bore?
Yeah. I think I just, honestly, as cheesy as it sounds, I just believe in the company. I was here right from the beginning when we were a totally different product offering, or, you know, we pivoted
You're
a
like
little bit.
employee like number 6 or something, aren't you?
6 or 7. But I love the people who run it. I honestly believe in what we're doing and how fast we've grown to the point that we've grown to. And I feel like every time we succeed a little bit more and we grow a little bit more, like it feels like a growth for me personally. I love the company, the culture we have here, all of the friends that we've made and the way that we are really close. And I can't wait to see what happens for Cold Bore and what it becomes, and just know that I was part of that. I helped build that. You know, it's like at the end of the day, of course, we all love our paychecks that get us through and buys us our little toys and, you know, helps our children out. But also there's pride in what we've built.
Yeah. Dana, how about for you? What gets you kind of jazzed, or what makes this job rewarding, or Cold Bore a good place for you to be?
I'm going to basically echo what Daph said. And it's very much like the people that work here. And the fact that, you know, each person you can tell really, truly believes in the product that we're building. They want to make it better. We want to make it better. We want to build it as a team. And exactly that. We want to grow this company so that, like, we can look back and be like, holy shit, we made something really cool and we built it from the ground up. And everyone's heart's in that. Like, I honestly and truly believe that everybody's heart is in this. Like, because they believe.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
When SmartPad is on every pad in North America,
Yep.
we're going to be doing a lot of
That's
happy
the goal.
dance.
That's the goal.